Good evening, everybody. I hope you're all doing well today. Let me go ahead and say hello to the chat. Hello, Samuel Russell, Buddha Cat, Lucas L. Fenton, Michael Corsini Art, Warlord Fang, Racerman, Timothy Ward. Wait, 1% doesn't equal 25? Yeah, it doesn't. They're not equal. They're not equal, amazingly. Stardust Todoroki, Lucas L. Fenton, Deborah David, Brian Dillingham, Fat Brooklyn Raccoon. All right, then. Average Woman Liker. All right. Merchant Resident Evil 4. Got some stuff for sale. Finch Flight. Let's see here. Polygon Y'all, Smith the Crow, Silver Howl, British Carver Guy, Amazing Bro, J. Lawrence Hamilton, Astronma, Coco Bop Jammer, GT Hefty, Roxas, Zarthon, hello Benjamin, hello Peaches, Burial Pokebob. See here, anybody else? Herb Kitty, Andrew RP, Meteor Meadow, Water Dorito 13, the 12-year-old. Tim Hayes. Ashstick. Lucky M, Riddle of Lightning. Torque the Prisoner. Panda Girl 17. Venkman. It jumped on me. Ah! Alright, so let's see if I can find where I was. Artistic Layman. Man, a lot of people are showing up out of nowhere. Been a while since I heard from you. Shining for Justice. Monkey Boys Toys. XKT. Dib Rose. Kazakorn. Cozy Bat. 2 June. Viola. Lousy Lou Loser. Zarthon. Johnny 2x4. Asylum for the Crazed. Aquinas. Doggone it. See here. Jeff McElwee. Good to see you as always. Analog Toys. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Hopefully you'll enjoy all this. Hey, I hope you're well. Well, I'll get there. Diego Don Quixote. Or Don Quixote. Bittersweet Pastel. Alright. Aquinas. Thank you for $2 super chat. You're a valid lion who streams weekly. Thank you. Thank you. Very cool. Very cool. And Tricky and Dangan Ryan. So, here's the thing. All right? We should have had Amato on for this one. Nah, Amato's fine. So, some background, since some people don't know. There is, and I've covered him before, he is a dirtbag who goes by the name of Spectra Creator. His real name is Scott Knightlick. No, I did not dox him. He is public about his name, who used to work on the Masters of the Universe Classics line, and is really proud of that. Even though he constantly ran that line with FOMO and obsessing over stupid crap. And he has had a bad habit of being a pathological liar in nerd spaces. Thank you for the $5 super chat, KTX. Who's Lyle giving the clown shoes today? Spectre Creative, as always. Love the Lyle content. Well, I'm sorry you have bad taste, but I appreciate the support. Okay, so. Last year, Scott did multiple videos taking shots at analog toys and retro blasting because, God forbid, they be critical of corporations. Because if a corporation's testicle sack isn't shiny enough, Scott's there with his tongue out. So, after Michael did one video criticizing how Scott handled the classics toy line in terms of fiction and personal handling, there was a debate that was held by weak people who don't know how to moderate a debate. And Scott has been obsessed with it ever since. He constantly takes shots at Michael. I challenged him, like, a couple months ago. And even though in the comments of his videos he'll say, oh, he'd love to debate, he has been completely vacant in my DMs. Or in my emails. So, Scott, I made sure to tag you on this one. You know I've called you out. You know I said I want to debate you. Let's see if you show up. You won't because you're a gutless coward and I'm not Michael and you know I'm not going to be nice. Scott is a corporate bootlegging, pathological liar who will stand by a corporation's decision if they took his own kids. That's who Scott is. What Scott has been known for and what he's getting dogged on this week for by multiple people, not just me, is for constantly saying that the new He-Man lines are going to die. He also said it about Marvel Legends, that Marvel Legends are going to die. They're not going to be at retail anymore. His evidence? Dude, trust me. He has inside sources. And in the comments of this video, he constantly says, well, the memo I have here says otherwise. But did he show the memo? No. Like I said in the video on the Bratz car I did where I called Scott out, the best way to debunk him is saying evidence needed or citation needed, evidence required. And he never does. He never proves anything he says. He just says, well, I have the experience. I know this. I know that. Scott, if I had 3 pieces of paper on my desk that said that you kick puppies, it's more believable than anything you say because I can at least print the paper out, right? It's stupid. So we're going to go through his video, and we're going to have a good old giggle at it. Thank you, Optimus. This is my last $2 for my name. Get them, Lyle. Well, I'll be sure to return them. All right, so let's do this. You see this intro? It's the best as editing ever gets. And that comes from me. Come on, chump. What you got?
Hey, welcome back to Spectra Creative. I'm a Lego representation of Scott Toy Guru Knightlett. I was the brand manager for Masters of the Universe for, well, about a decade at Mattel.
He always puts up this Lego when he has a bunch of nonsense to say about himself. Not even in scale with the background. Like, he doesn't even have the skill to put together a Lego backdrop, which is sad.
Until I moved on. And I've made a lot of videos about He-Man from that perspective of having worked on it. I love He-Man toys. I love collecting them. But I do have certain pet peeves, and a big one...
Your pet peeve is that you're not in charge of it anymore, and nobody respects you.
...is when, well, companies or people lie right to my face. I just can't...
Yeah, guys, Scott wants to be able to lie to you. He can't let anybody else do it.
Stand it. When I was at Entertainment Earth, we were trying to do Spaceball toys, which we knew was owned by MGM. And we were all prepared to move forward with these, and as a courtesy, we gave a phone call to Lucasfilm, since Entertainment Earth also did a lot of business with the Star Wars brand. And we basically just wanted to give them an FYI that we were going to move forward with the Spaceballs license from MGM, and, we just, courtesy. And they just told us straight up that they owned the right to Spaceballs. And we asked them if we could see the contract, and they refused to show us. Now, I knew from my research and from talking to MGM that they were completely lying right to our face. And there's something about that. Like, just tell us you'd prefer us not to do it, or can we talk about this? Don't tell
How do you know they're lying? Oh, that's right. You never show any proof of anything, so.
me right to my face that, something that I know is not true. And, well, these things happen quite a lot in the toy industry. At PowerCon, every year, Mattel has usually given a presentation. Sometimes they show it in person.
Well, it's not PowerCon anymore. It's just a random toy show now because, Valstable is a lying, disingenuous piece of garbage, and if he shotgun slushies his brain, I'm not going to cry.
And sometimes they just show slides, which is what they've been doing lately, especially because of what's happening with the license. More on that in a moment. So, yes, they've shown their, usual slides of upcoming items at this He-Man convention, getting everyone excited for all the new product that was coming out, and then they ended the presentation by noting very clearly...
Yes, this was a direct response to you, who claimed that the MOTU license was going to go away. A license they owned for the toys was going to go away. Yes, Scott, they directly responded to you, because you are a lying, grifting piece of garbage.
That MOTU isn't going away in 2023, and there are no plans to discontinue Origins. Now, obviously, this has been a heated issue online and with...
Yeah, because you keep lying to people, because you want this brand to fail because you're not managing it anymore, and you're jealous that it's gotten on the store shelves, and in some ways, Masterverse is better, and the Origins line is selling better than Classics ever did. Because you lack any form of creativity, because you're not a creative type, Scott. You're a pencil-pushing bean counter.
Fans, and if you look at the way their slide was phrased, it was very wishy-washy. There isn't...
I don't know. The first part says it's not going to end in 2023. That's literally what it says. The first part, which you're going to ignore, by the way.
There aren't plans to discontinue MOTU.
Notice, this is what a dishonest person does. They ignore the main part of it and go to the minor part that they think they can attack. It literally said, in the slide, MOTU isn't going away in 2023. MOTU isn't going away, but he's ignoring that. Instead of saying, well, the other thing, I don't like how it's phrased. It's a lot of open... yeah, sure thing. Sure thing, buddy.
Which means maybe it'll happen, but we don't plan it. No, you guys knew it at the time, because you know things years in advance, and you also knew that you were about to lose the license because Universal owns Masters of the Universe.
They own the entertainment rights to Masters of the Universe.
It's kind of like that whole Simpsons, why did I have the bowl, Bart? Why were we paying a royalty on every Classics Masters of the Universe figure to Classic Media if
Can you prove that?
they didn't own it? It's like that's kind of my argument to people saying, well, Mattel owns it. Yeah, they did. They sold it. They created it, absolutely, but they sold it.
Prove it. Prove it.
And it eventually wound up with Classic Media, which was bought by DreamWorks, which was then bought by Universal. Hence why Universal is now the owner of Masters of the Universe. No doubt Mattel created it, but just like Rob Liefeld doesn't own Youngblood anymore. So, you can go to...
Comic rights are not the same as intellectual property rights through a corporation like this. Also, Rob Liefeld's one person, like Masters of the Universe, created by a team within Mattel, for Mattel.
To retail and pick up the final waves of Masters of the Universe Origins and Masterverse, but that's it. I have
which is why they have a Frogman for release on Tuesday, and they have a Snake Mountain coming out, because this is it. This is the last wave. There's never going to be any more.
Confirmed independently with 3 different sources.
Maybe those 3 different sources just like making you look stupid, Scott. Because they know you're going to run your cock holster off to anybody you can to get attention, which you have here with 23K views. Maybe they just knew what you were going to do, and they decided, you know what? We are going to make this guy look dumber than usual.
That a memo went out in October of last year and officially said that it is now delisted. It's discontinued. Masters of the Universe.
Delisting, by the way, is when they choose not to go forward with a brand, but specific waves tend to get delisted. Saying that, well, Masters of the Universe is now going to be ended when they literally just reissued, the second or third wave is really stupid to say.
Origins and Masterverse are no more, and Target and Walmart are resetting their aisles this week, which actually means it's a really great time to pick up stuff on clearance. I got a Marvel Legends US Agent for $4.
Yeah, which is probably a screw-up that you asked them to make sure they altered, because US Agent is still $25 on pegs. He is not clearanced. He's part of the controller wave. They're brand new. They didn't clearance it. You probably just saw it in a $4 spot, and they gave it to you out of courtesy. And he harps on that, though, by the way. He also said Marvel Legends is going away, and they're constantly pumping things out. They have an entire lineup for next year already. And he said that Marvel Legends was going to end like a couple years ago. This dude's a pathological liar.
Woohoo! So yeah, if you want Hordak and She-Ra, you can definitely get them for, a deep, deep discount. And there are some targets that are going to continue to carry the final wave with Frosta and Roboto, King Hiss, etc. for Origins and Masterverse, respectively. But come April, that's it. And there won't be any new figures announced. All the figures are being taken down, shipped back, put on the clearance rack, and the aisles basically having room made for brands that perform better. And again, I've had multiple independent sources confirm this, that Mattel told retailers back in October that the final wave...
Which is why he doesn't show it. Because he totally has it, guys. He is just like the kid who said, like, back in the 90s, that he totally had Unicron at home. He totally got one. Something that never existed. But he can't bring it to school because, my parents won't let me. All he cares about is his ego. He's a textbook narcissist, yeah? The man sees no fault in himself. He believes he believes his own lie is true. Grim, don't you just love that he keeps ignoring that everyone can flip the toy packaging around and see what the copyright note says? If Universal owns the whole thing, where's their note on it? Correct. Michael, check your messages, by the way.
Would be shipping in April, and then the lines would be discontinued. Now, maybe they will migrate online. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of dedicated brand managers.
You were never dedicated. You always phoned it in.
For that to happen. But yeah, the space that they once occupied is officially being reallocated to brands that will have more velocity, which means the number of turns per week.
I'll tell you what, if Mattel's listening, I'll be your brand manager for Masters of the Universe, and every couple of waves, I'll put something in a bio that makes fun of Scott.
Per day, per month, to hit the amount of sales required in order to justify the space. So the question is, well, why? Why did this Masters of the Universe retail relaunch, get discontinued?
It didn't, which is why you haven't provided the memo.
I don't want to say fail, because I hate that word. And I'm not rooting for it to fail. It's like, I've said, If there's a Death Star and I say, hey, there's a Death Star, it doesn't make me anti-Death Star.
No, but if you say there's a Death Star and you refuse to provide evidence of the Death Star existing, people are just going to call you stupid. By the way, you're stupid.
Now, MOTU would have probably done a lot better had it been sold on the collector wall, because the velocity...
I don't really know, Smith, and that might vary based on what the character is. Tricky, thank you for $2 Canadian Super Chat. Imagine lying over a bunch of toys. True.
The requirements is so much tinier. You don't have to sell as many units to justify your space. And Mattel's been putting out images and PR of, fake families. That is clearly not a dad and his son. Those are actors playing with He-Man toys. And that's what didn't happen.
How do you know that? How do you know these are just actors and this isn't like an actual family? Can you tell me, Scott? Can you tell me? Oh, that's right. You just want to try to discredit everything, so you attack people that have nothing to do with any of this because you're butthurt. Scott, you are a terrible brand manager. You're a literal lunatic. Okay? Lio, I've been instructed to bully you, so it will get our bestie Ventus and Camilla Cuevas to do so. Oh, they're welcome to show up in Senate any time. And I will body them again.
This. Kids just didn't get into it. The Netflix CGI show got canceled, and while there are...
Oh, look how butthurt the little baby is. He's got to keep bringing up Michael. Scott, you were never relevant. You're never relevant. And you don't know if kids are playing with it or not. Granted, I think the line's primarily for adults that lived through the original He-Man, but I love the fact that you're using the Mattel Creations Voltron image from Michael's video to gripe and complain and cry bitter tears. Because this thing, much like your career, keeps trying to kill itself by jumping off the highest point.
Always adult collectors who will buy product online, and God bless them, because we need these people. They're the lifeblood of the adult collector industry. Selling product...
Yeah, that entire video is Michael trashing that piece of garbage, because that is literally the worst Voltron that's ever been made. Worst combining one, specifically.
At retail versus online is such a different game, because whatever aisle you're in, whether it's the wheels aisle or the doll aisle or the Nerf blaster aisle,
Real fun fact about advertising, at one point Hasbro had a Transformer banner on their website and had third-party Transformers in it and didn't even know.
have to do a certain amount of sales per day, per week, in order to justify that space. And without kids, without parents buying product for kids, it is really...
How would you know?
Really hard for an item to survive at retail. It's why we've seen, honestly, over the past few years, so much MOTU product on clearance and stacking up. And again, the videos I've made about them.
Actually, it's because they overestimate and they send more than what the collectors actually want of things they don't want. Grim. It's not even like kids don't like MOTU, but there's nothing to drive them to it. Correct. Revelations of Dora to your chest, and TGI treats kids like idiots and serves them a re-envision. Correct.
This haven't been me wishing for it to fail. It's just been pointing it.
Yes, it is. You actively want this line to fail because you're not behind it and it's more successful than literally anything you ever put out. Also, I love the fact that the attorney and guard they put out for this doesn't have your face.
Out. Again, with my Death Star metaphor. If I say, oh no, a Death Star is coming, it doesn't mean I'm pro-Death Star. It just means I'm pointing it out. So,
unless the Death Star doesn't exist, in which case you're a liar, which guess what? You're a liar.
So the other big reason that the current MOTU retail lines have kind of gone the big A way is they burned through their characters too fast. And this I can actually say as an expert, because having been the brand manager of a Masters of the Universe line, I understand this. It's why we, and by we I mean I...
Well, let's see here. Look at all these characters. This Grandmaster plan is why you kept bugging people to continue to back waves so they could make them more, right? Because you're so smart. That's why you kept pushing the FOMO aspect of it, right? Kept going into MOTU groups and making things spread about how, oh, this wave might not be made. You guys need to order more. Order more! You're such a pathetic, lying, weaseling piece of garbage. If this was as good as you said it was, you wouldn't have needed to harass people to get more of them.
He created a master spreadsheet that was 10 years of product rollout where very strategically the characters were spreading out the low-tooled figures and the high-tooled figures. What Origins and, in some ways, Masterverse did is they put out all the low-tooled figures right away. And that means all they have left are the highly-tooled figures, and that's really hard to do. What they should have done is kind of spread them out a little bit more and sort of think about the future.
They did spread them out. It's one reason why they put the Sunman line in there. I know you're not very smart, but people have eyes.
You're just not thinking fourth dimensionally.
Right.
And you don't think at all.
I have real problems.
Don't you?
And honestly, the core characters, the one from the 82 launch and from the Filmation show, are really the ones that sell. Anything beyond that, you're getting a little iffy, especially at retail. Just look at what happened to the 2000 and X line.
2000 X line died, you dishonest snake, because they kept putting out characters nobody wanted. Not because they wouldn't get to other characters, because they short-packed them. And again, this is another thing that points out the fact that this guy's a lying, manipulative piece of garbage. He will never tell you the actual truth. He will always obfuscate it under something else.
Now, obviously, I could wind up, eating crow big time on this.
I don't know what's going on between Crow and this Klonoa guy, and if I find out this is... Let me check something real quick. Let me see here. Okay, so it's not that other Klonoa guy. If you guys want to knock it off, I'm going to mute both of you. Right?
If I'm outrightly stating that Masters of the Universe is over at retail. In fact, I know that there's quite a few websites out there that are just waiting.
By the way, people in comments keep saying that he keeps trying to feed us, or feed Crow and say it's chicken. That's also true because he's a liar.
And waiting for me to be wrong about something.
Don't patronize me, Scott.
Hey, Scott, remember when you said that predatory business practices are a good thing?
Well, like I said, in this case, I wouldn't make a video like this if I didn't check my sources, and all three sources, which didn't know I was talking to the others, independently all told me the same exact story. They were given a letter in October that April would be it, and there'd be no new waves. So get to Target now, pick up those last.
So if I go into Target in May, and and this isn't all on clearance, and there's still pegs that say MOTU, can I get a live video of you drinking bleach? Put everybody out of your misery? That'd be nice. Alright, I checked it, Michael, and I sent you a response.
Waves. Pick up the figures on major clearance. I mean, I'm enjoying my U.S. agent for $4 or whatever I paid for him.
Which is not even a Mattel brand. It's a Hasbro brand.
So, yeah, if you want Hordak or She-Ra or any of the other Masterverse figures, you can now add them to your collection for pennies on the dollar. And for those who are maybe...
So because some specific figures are clearance, that means the entire line is doomed. Fantastic.
Hoping it'll go online? Possible. Again, it takes quite a dedicated brand manager
and it will never be you again, Scott, because you're worthless.
Team to do that. But as of now, while Targets will carry this final wave with Roboto and Masterverse and Frosta and King Hiss, I think, not Thunder Punch He-Man, is that the one? In the new deluxe assortment. Yeah, it unfortunately, and I do...
Doesn't even know what's actually out there. Grim, if anything, it'll be Masterverse going out. Origins just ain't going anywhere soon. It's just literally the MOTU line that sells. That's also true. He, of course, never linked any sources. He just keeps going in his comment section and says, I got the memo, I got memo, but he doesn't post the memo. Hold on. Trust me, bro.
I do mean this, unfortunately, because I love He-Man and I wanted it to continue, but without kids, a line just can't survive at retail. Let's hope maybe it moves online. It's been an awesome run. I hope this video was...
Thunder Punch He-Man. Since Aquan is asked, did I put him in this box or is he laying around somewhere else? Knowing me, he's probably laying around somewhere else. No, that's King Hiss. I have the... there he is. Thunder Punch He-Man was a figure initially made in the 80s. Who, on his back, you could insert the, what are they called? For pop guns. The little things that you would put into a pop gun to make it fire. Those caps you'd put onto the backpack of this He-Man, and when you twisted him back and let him punch, when he threw his punch, it would make that cap gun noise from the caps in the back. The new one, which I'm holding right now, instead of doing that, it has the backpack, but it's literally hollow. And instead, it just makes the noise independently. So you rear him back, and that's the noise you get. Not impressive, no. But I doubt you'd be able to get away with making this toy modernly, because caps aren't even all that, prevalent on toy aisles anymore, so you have a hard time refilling it. Blast caps, yeah. So he says all this.
Well, at least insightful with some of the rationale for why this happened.
It's not insightful, you're just deranged. So let's take a look at the comments. Newest first. Let's see what they had to say. Making stuff up for views. Prick, correct. You ever get tired of being a lying, insecure weasel? Hey, Scotty, we can always tell you're a little bent out of shape. Yep. Of course, this guy loves him using a photo of Michael. And of course, this Mason guy's been trolling Scott for a while now. I was like, are you in love with Michael? They need to make more toys for the pedo movement. Warping the children. No masculine toys allowed in the new world. What type of nonsense is this? Dude, you're just a hater. Yep. Scott, you need to make a video backing all this up and show you're a man and go on the offensive toward Vala, French, and the alcoholic. Ooh, this is the patient mental. Dude's got issues. Remaining silent and letting those dirtbags say whatever they want about you is wrong if you believe you are right. Again, as a man, I couldn't sit silent knowing what kind of people they are to say such things. Hey, patient mental, there's a link in the description to a server, this the arguing server. I'm calling you a worthless, gutless weasel. Show up. A video is needed along with a live head-to-head. Well, I mean, he still hasn't responded to me. You say there's a letter. If you want to put the rest of the punditry that has come with this bombshell announcement, then evidence isn't sufficient. It will require proof. Evidence is proof, stupid. So, yes, I'm watching him getting bodied. And it is cathartic. Still baffles me about how he went on the use of actors in advertising. Literally the most normal thing. Well, he's stupid. Now, here's what we're going to do, right? I'm going to go ahead and kill this. And now, just give me a minute because I need to clear some stuff here. Who's the schizo poster? What in the world? Anyways. So, of all the people who call him out, and this is not normal, by the way. It's not normal for these people to do this. Because usually they're right there with him, sucking on that corporate tit, getting all that milk. There's an individual that I've been extremely critical on his channel that even people that like are on my side of things generally will not be critical of. Because they like him, they think he's a good guy, he's just a little misguided. I disagree. I think that he knows exactly who and what he is. But this guy... Oops. No, that's the right one. Gotta go here. Is Pixel Dan. And Pixel Dan says, you don't have to send me that video. It's not true. Hashtag MOTU. This is in relation to Scott's video. And not only that, Rodimus Primal did a video dunking on Scott. Geek Dad Life, the same weak people who failed to properly moderate the debate, are also dunking on Scott and making it very clear that they genuinely regret having anything to do with that debate. Which, I'm sorry, but, well, if you want to apologize, you know where to find us. Nobody's buying Scott's nonsense. They're tired of hearing about him and hearing about it. They're tired of it. They genuinely are. Now, something Scott loves to run his mush mouth about is the emails Michael sent him after the debate. He says he made legal demands and all this other nonsense. Let's see here. I didn't get it yet, Michael. You might want to send it again. Double check my drafts and whatnot here, or my spam just in case. Yeah, I didn't get the main one. So you're going to have to send that one again, Michael. I can just read it off, but I wanted to put it on screen. Pixel Dan knows who butters his bread. Mattel sees Scott as poison, so will Pixel Dan. Well, there's a reason why he doesn't work there anymore. Do you still call certain people Scooter? Yes, because I know it rattles them. Mega J Retro. That dude doesn't even know what he's talking about with Thundercats. He did an entire video about the Sword of Omens and this and that, and he started talking about how certain things are the teeth of the cat and all this. Like, dude, what are you on about? He's just a hype man. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Monster Island Buddies is great. And again, Scott, if you're listening, because I know you'll see the tag, you and me anytime. Can someone explain to me who this guy is and what he did, but in a very dumbed down way for an outsider? Okay. See, how can I put it for you? I don't think I can. Scott used to do stuff in the toy industry. Scott has lost every job he's had in the toy industry for one reason or another, and now he just kind of schizo posts on YouTube about his total insider information that's never right and wants everybody to treat him as a legitimate source. I had the first one. There we go. Let's see here. Let's see here. Just going through this, making sure I have everything covered that needs to be covered. Okay, cool. Let me go ahead and... Michael, the second one you sent me, is that the first one that was sent, or is the second one the last one? Because I want to show some of this on screen, because I'm tired of him lying about things. And there wasn't really much of a rivalry over Lower T Lover. Alright, so just waiting to hear back from Michael. Only actual info he has is on the Wonder Brand He-Man, which he sat on for years while pushing his fanwake version of it. Yes, because he's that dishonest. This man had, like, lost media that he refused to talk about because he wanted to push fan nonsense. But God forbid Penny Dreadful and company, like, undo his nonsense. Also, Android Axel, since I know you're here, like, this is what I prefer to cover, like, toy-related stuff in cartoons. I'm sorry, it's not commentary in the manner you know it. Okay, so, let's see here. That's a little confusing, Michael, but we'll figure it out. Let me make sure this is correct. The second, okay, so the second resends the first. So let me go ahead and do this again. Boop. This is to Scott after the time that Scott decided to get mad over Michael's video. Mr. Nightlick, you got a lot of cheek pretending like this was some grand plan and you're some mastermind. You know as well as I do that you've been making videos taking jabs at my channel since May. Prior to that, I didn't know anything about you. Who you were, what you do, and used to do, and I didn't care. I was just making my videos, none of which had anything to do with you whatsoever. But you come along and start making videos with my logo in the thumbnail, making headlines to tell people I don't know what I'm talking about, undermining my credibility to my audience, and you never once reached out to introduce yourself prior to that. You just started throwing grenades. But you didn't remind your audience of that, did you? No, of course you didn't. You gotta look like some innocently wrong professional now that I've had enough. To date, at least 3 of your videos since May have taken aim at my content, and based on the thumbnail of the latest, number 4, where you want to come on retro blasting, you've been doing this deliberately. In all that time, I had never discussed you in any feature videos, nor taking any interest in you and your wheelhouse. I never collected MOTU classics, and frankly, you weren't within my range radar of interest. It's a shame you didn't keep it that way. Instead, you decided to rather act like a normal human being and reach out with friendly correspondence to introduce yourself. You just started in on my content like a sidewinding jerk. And giving your frequent appearances on every channel under the sun, I know why you want to get on my channel. Because you want to grow your numbers. Why don't you go ask your old friend Pixel Dan if he'll interview you in your show? You guys are old buddies, right? Here's the thing, Scott. You've chosen a path where you've been immediately adversarial and aggressive with me. And you've actively tried to undermine my credibility in the toy collector space. And you know that's what you've been doing. This was your first instinct in establishing contact with me, and that's supremely stupid. Not to mention horribly rude. I'm still staggered that you've chosen these tactics rather than just reach out politely with an introduction. Instead, you decide I'll keep kicking on his door and yelling about how much smarter than him I think I am. Do you really think that would pave the way towards a pleasant, collaborative working association? In light of these facts, retroblasting as a platform will never be offered to you. I am willing to have a discussion with you, but I will only have a real-time discussion with you in a neutral space, another host's live stream. Your idea of making toy magic is a manipulative joke for the benefit of hoodwinking your audience away from the truth. That you started this with your first attack video in May of this year with the Rise of Evil MOTU Origins set, and you've been taking swipes ever since towards a channel that wasn't ever an issue for you in any way. So a live discussion on neutral ground where you will publicly acknowledge and remind people of the previous videos, which you never did by the way, they were made without provocation from retroblasting so the audience will have real context, and then whatever the heck you want to discuss, take it or leave it. So, Scott decided to be stupid. And got slapped and then tried to play the victim. Because that's who he is and that's what he does. Hey, Lara, really stupid question, but I remember you saying at some point you can't stand white pronunciation of your last name, but I'm Hispanic and I physically am. How do you feel about that? That's fine. It's mostly a joke. Who you think work on that letter? I don't think you can come up with enough information to find out all this. Do you mean the memos he totally has? I have no idea. Now, that was one. Then we have what happened after it. Now, for the debate, the hosts were weak. Let Scott weasel out of literally everything because they were weak. Did not hold Scott to the agreement here. And instead let him run off at the end of it. Keep in mind, these are the same mental infants that were told what would happen and had one moderator in a 1,000-man chat. Real smart people over there at Geek Dad Life. By the way, they're also so smart that when they got copyright strike, they went to stream on their secondary channel despite the fact that that's how low-tier God got removed permanently. I was decent enough to tell them about that, but maybe they ought to read the TOS. So, let's go ahead and read the other email that Scott keeps saying is some sort of legal threat. Because Scott's a duplicitous liar and, of course, doesn't show anybody. While I knew a number of things weren't right in the flow of the debate and decisions made in real time, by the way, just context, after the debate, Scott has done nothing but harp on Michael. So this was partly in response to that. It was an enterprising retroblasting fan that smelled smoke. While I took great care to record Scott's quotes word for word for the purposes of accuracy within the debate, it appears Scott had no such intention. Copy below is the audit from a message I received this morning. And I quote, "This is one of the key areas where Scott was being deceptive and manipulative. I have printed this quoting of you from the debate, and your actual quotes from the video is referencing." So essentially he's saying that Scott lied about what he was saying Michael said. Rise of Evil, Fall of the Toy Industry. In the case of timestamps, I included them here in parentheses based for when Scott says they occurred in the video and the actual timestamp from the video for the quotes he references. See if you notice anything interesting about this. Example 1, Scott, you said at 7:45, Hasbro knows how many people want their product and they're not making enough. 8:57, only sold 2,000 figures when 100,000 people want some, or want one. What I want to ask you is, how do you know any of this? Actual quote at 7:19, I've always said this for years, and this is no exception. The big toy companies have a distribution problem. They have a volume problem and they have a distribution problem. 7:31. The volume problem is deliberate. They know how many people want their items, but for some reason these companies decided in their modern mentality, in the modern logic, what I call illogic, The hype is more important and more knowledgeable than about making money. 829. It seems to me that these corporate morons just want to be able to tell their bosses, we sold out! But they don't want to tell their bosses that they literally only sold about 2,000 figures when, 40, 50, 60, 100,000 people would like this product. So the demonstration here is Scott's claim about what was in the video doesn't meet the actual context. Example 2. At Scott. At 11:02, you said this is a decade-old problem of not working with retailers to fix distribution and are doing nothing about it. How do you know that? Actual quote at 10:48. Hasbro, Mattel, and NECA have a real dysfunctional relationship with their retailers. 10:52. But over the decade, they have done nothing to fix it. They are doing nothing to fix a decade-old problem. What they are doing is continuing to make fewer and fewer products. And for the record, Scott, he knows that because he has eyes. And I, as another toy collector and toy hunter, can tell you there's a distribution problem. Heck, Hasbro's been confronted about it, and their answer is, we don't know. They got confronted about it at BotCon multiple times, you worthless, weaseling sack of crap. Example 3. Scott, toy companies spent the last 15 years only catering to adult collectors to the point that adults are the only buyers. 1520. What's your source for this? Scott asking a source for anything is absolutely hilarious, by the way. Actual quote. 1354. Kids in general, according to the toy industry, don't buy toys anymore. My argument is because the toy industry abandoned children a long time ago when it comes to action figures, so they created a self-fulfilling prophecy. 1418. Kids aren't buying toys anywhere near like we used to, and especially or even like 90s or 2000s kids used to. Therefore, the most popular property, which is Fortnite, is a video game. It's a very popular video game. One would think that would be the stuff kids, since they aren't interested in movies and TV toys like this guy says, one would think there would be the Fortnite features that are picked over, that are always gone because kids like Fortnite. And the Star Wars and Marvel stuff, it would still be, somewhat available. That's not happening. So you can't say, oh, it's because kids don't buy these. Someone's buying them and not buying Fortnite figures. 1509. And it's because these companies have spent the last few decades catering to adults, targeting and marketing to adults to the point that the adults are the only buyers. 1520. They've even pretty much priced children out of the market at this point. It was already bad enough at $20 a 6-inch figure, now it's $27. Here's the thing. Number one, it's very rarely kids that buy toys to begin with, even back in the 80s and 90s, unless it was small allowances. Secondly, yes, Michael's right. Because if they weren't primarily targeting adults, they wouldn't show up at freaking BotCon, they wouldn't show up at PowerCon, and they wouldn't have this cringe, goofy little ability to live stream about their new products if they weren't appealing primarily to adults. There's a reason why you don't see much in the way of 6-inch action figure commercials on children's television now, because it's not being marketed towards them. Okay, so I know that was a lot to read, so let's start with the timestamps. Did you notice anything interesting? In every case, the timestamp he quoted was much later than the relevant information being quoted actually took place. This suggests one of two things. 1. That Scott is a complete dunderhead who doesn't even know how to note timestamps. 2. He's being arbitrary about the timestamps in order to sound like he knew what he was talking about. Both possible scenarios. In any case, every timestamp he gave had you in the middle of a thought. This brings up the second problem, and his quoting of you. Namely, he was deliberately misquoting you. He cherry-picked different parts of your statement, conflated them into one sentence, and presented that as your thoughts. It's called building a straw man, for those curious. In essence, he was removing context. Thus, he uses it to bolster his argument that you are pressing your opinions as facts. In example 1, he stated the 2,000 versus the 100,000, as if it was an actual figure that you tried to pass off as fact. But anyone reading what you actually said realized it was clearly an opinion. It was also a hypothetical. Because started with the phrase, it seems to me. Plus, anyone could tell that the 2,000 versus 100,000 example was a hypothetical example. Thank you. To illustrate your point, a word picture, in other words. In example 2, he claimed that you said that there's a decade-old problem with toy companies not working with retailers to fix distribution. What you actually were referring to was the dysfunctional relationship between toy companies and retailers. In message from Retro Blasting supporter. Scott, it's for reasons such as these and myriad of others that I have asserted in my video and the debate that you have acted in bad faith in the social media community of the toy collector space. By the way, bad faith is essentially saying we're going to come to terms about something while having no intention to actually do so. Your multiple attack videos on my channel, regardless of your attempts to dodge through that vague booking tactics in the later bigs by not saying the name Retro Blasting, are starkly transparent, and their intent is stated to discredit my channel that I've worked very hard for a decade to build on integrity and honesty without corporate promotion or influence. You had no reason to come after me. We didn't know each other. I've done nothing to you, and when I discovered who you were and your history with the toy community. I saw a man tossing boulders in a glass house. I would highly recommend that you cease this path. In the very least, don't target me anymore in your videos, which, by the way, he constantly did. You've already made the mistake of befriending Junkman, who is an admitted criminal in the toy collecting world, which, by the way, he is. He manipulated people into getting free stuff from them. Then didn't even report the people he claimed were child predators. And when he was confronted on this in his own goofy little Facebook group, he admitted he doesn't care if people are preying on kids. It's not his problem. He wanted free stuff. And in the very stream that Junkman and Scott here talked, Junkman was confronted multiple times via super chats and comments about the false allegations of me being a child predator, and Scott ignored it. Because he doesn't care. Anywho. And continues to attempt flagrant character assassinations of individuals on social media by falsely accusing them of felony crimes such as child grooming and rape to cause chaos for their channels. The man even admitted to defrauding Jordan Himborough, a professional you worked with, if I recall. You're making a lot of mistakes, Scott. It's better to act in good faith than pretend to act in good faith. And as far as who you were, that's only going to get you so far in this space. On social media, it's about immediacy. Eventually, you're going to learn the hard way that the majority of people only give a crap about who you are and don't put much stock in who you were. Especially as you claim your Big Mattel achievements was only done on weekends. Quit conflating yourself and just try to be real. And if the carnival barking used car salesman is actually who you are, then I say again, leave me out of your content going forward. I want nothing to do with you from here on out. Michael said he doesn't want anything to do with him, and Scott has been lying about this email, saying that it's a legal threat. That it isn't actually legal, by the way. What a worthless piece of garbage. This man has been doing this for the better part of 2 years now, and he's finally getting called out by larger channels, larger communities, and he's owed every bit of it. It is fully deserved. And that's why I'm okay with dunking on him. It's why I'm okay with insulting him. It's why I'm okay with recognizing he's always going to be a pussy and he's never going to show up. That's the truth of the matter. The people who worked with him don't like him. And even though he praises a new Netflix cartoon that came out, the Revelations one, the Netflix exec that greenlit it has been running around, Scott, telling people that not only are you a Trump supporter, but you're an anti-vaxxer. They don't like you either. They don't like you. Nobody likes you. And the reason why they don't like you isn't the reason why a lot of people don't like me, because I make them upset because I hurt their feelings, because you are a whiny, slimy little piece of garbage, and everybody who sees you knows it. They know what that tone of voice is, they know what type of person you are, and they identify it, and they avoid it. It's why nobody ever comes to actually defend you, unless it's some screaming sycophant in the comment section with no real name attached to them. They're all wrong, and so are you. He's probably never going to work in the industry, and his website says that he's nationally known for his consulting work. By who? Who do you work for, Scott? Because I've never seen you positively listed anywhere. When you were under the tenureship of Masters of the Universe Collective, or Masters of the Universe Classic, you had a She-Ra action figure taller than He-Man. Are you stupid? You greenlit that. Remember, it's your baby. Brian Dillingham, thank you for $2 super chat. So doggone stupid. So, what's the bird on screen? That is the bird, who hopefully we'll have a review out here in a little bit, because I got the Mandora in, and I want to deal with that real quick. But yeah, Scott will never, ever, 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 ever provide evidence for any claim he's made. I confronted him about it on the He-Man forum years ago, 2016, about a claim he made where he was talking about how Nefty's House of Rants was responsible for why Matty Collector's closing, because they were so negative. I said, prove it. He's like, well, it's just my experience. I'm like, yeah, prove it, though. I want evidence. Actual evidence to what you're claiming. Never could give it. Never will give it. And that's fine. Because people see you for what you are, Scott. And one day somebody's going to have enough with much larger following than me, and they're just going to destroy you. Well, he's going to team up. Well, he did that once. Are they going to be the underage child impersonation duo now? Well, no. I don't even think Scott could pull that out. Like, he already blames video games for why children aren't imaginative, quote-unquote, aren't imaginative anymore, which is nonsense if you've ever played a video game. Come on now, we should have sympathy for Knightley. Bobby Valla hurt his feelings by ghosting him. Yes. The only problem I have with Bobby Valla doing that isn't that he ghosted him. is that he should have just called him dumb and said lol and blocked him. Can I come on your channel? No, lol, block. The difference between you making people angry and Scott making people angry is you try to speak fast while Scott lies through it's not true. Also, there's this one other gutless weasel that's been mad at me for years named Justin Mohan that's mad that I make fun of Super 7. And even now he's crying in comment sections. I don't know if I can support them or defend them anymore. Their stuff keeps getting worse and worse. Maybe if you weren't such a crying, worthless, weaselly man, baby, you put all your value into what you collect, you wouldn't have these issues. I don't need to sit there and, white knight for a corporation. They just make stuff. If I like it, I buy it. If I don't like it, I make videos making fun of it. It's that simple. I don't know why other people can't be the actual adults they want to claim they are. I'm an adult. That's why I don't criticize anything. Oh, get bent. Scott Copeland, yes. Lyle Conaway, a bit off topic. Did your father or grandfather serve in the Army? Because the way you carry yourself, you tone like an Army brat. Nope, Navy brat. The old man was in the Navy. No, it's not Motu Thunder. He's made it very clear he doesn't want to continue on the banter, which is fine. It's fine. I'm not going to be mean to him now. I can't wait to see Super 7's Blunder Tank. Well, if it's anything like Mandora's bike, it's going to be terrible. I need to start getting actual content on this channel again. Been so doggone busy with life and a whole slew of other things. But yeah, if anybody thinks Scott knows what he's talking about, 2024, if there's He-Man on the shelves, I think Scott should be given constant grief. Forever. Until the end of time, because these things do sell. The problem they're having right now is that specific waves have clogged the shelves. I wish Spectra's followers would get a clue, but I fear they will target their irritation this week and keep making excuses for them. Sure, they will. That's fine. We'll make fun of them too. What are your thoughts on Retro Blessing? Well, he's a friend of mine. He's in the channel commenting right now, so. Hello, Mijumaru fan. What about Stream 2016 do some more? I don't know, man. I might stream the Halo game we have coming up this weekend, though. But blasted Scott, yes, he is very, very butthurt. But I need to go ahead and let you guys go, because Sarah's about to stream, and so is 3POA, and I don't want to cross-reference any of that. Watched channels today admitting he was wrong, but kissing his butt that he's a great smart guy. I'm sure they were, because they're cowards. God forbid we sit there and count out the corporate bootlicker. But you guys take it easy, and maybe one day I'll get an actual intro for extra for my streams. Take it easy, guys. Have a good evening.